again, I've moved on from the Cipher. Once he confirmed, like, dude, the Cipher's not in the poem. It doesn't really do anything. It's just kind of a fun thing I threw in there. I'm like, whatever, man. I got more bigger bones to dig up. So that's
I got a treasure to find here.
Yeah, baby. Not a container to understand. Welcome back to the hunt for Posey's treasure. This is episode number 14. Date of recording, August 27th, 2025. Well, if you're still out there with us, you might be thinking one of two things. One, these two jabronis that have been posting this podcast, promising they're going to find this gold, well, they just up and tucked their tails and ran and disappeared into the ether like one of these folks out there that says, I solved it, I'm going to go get it, and then you never hear from them again. Or maybe you thought they're offline because they maybe did find it and they're out there in the wilderness. Neither of those things, in fact, are true, I will say, and we had some work and life things coming in, and unfortunately we're unable to get on this podcast, deliver the content that you all deserve. With that said, we are back. We are in the saddle. I got the maps here. I'm not beyond the map's edge yet, but I got a map. I'm looking at it. I'm ready to get going here, get back immersed in this, and get going finding this frickin' gold. With that said, before we dive into what we're talking about today, how's it been going with you, cowboy? What's going on with your latest solve? Where are you at in this journey?
Yeah, thank you. It's been a minute. I am way beyond where I was just several weeks ago. I'm just kidding. How have I been? I had a really bad ear infection, which also kind of hurt the recording of this. A terrible ear infection that I got from swimming in a lake. Yes, looking for the treasure. Didn't find it, but got a terrible ear infection. Had to get it vacuumed out with a new device I'd never seen, a little ear sucker. Jeez. But other than that, just been enjoying the American summer, you know. It's been great. It's been beautiful. It's been lovely. Just trying to stay out of that astral plane, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, appreciate the continued health updates there and medical breakthroughs going on in the ear, nose, and throat treatment sector. But that said, in terms of, the man kicking off, our oracle, we can call him, Justin Posey, it seems he's been a little bit quiet lately, but if not, I appreciate y'all listeners, correcting me. I had been keeping tabs on the search, on the hunt, on the community during these 3 weeks off, and it seems that nothing earth-shattering has emerged, but still plenty for us to dig into today. But in terms of where we left off, I was very interested in this Waterton Lakes area, but I've been running into the issue of, on the U.S. side of that lake is All Glacier National Park, and from my understanding, that is a paid entry location. So not sure where to go from there. Cowboy, where are you looking? Where's your magnifying glass? You got a map out? Where are we at?
Yeah, I'm between two places. I really for the last several months have been thinking that this thing is in Montana, and a big part of me still does, but I also think there's a lot of people that are a lot more proactive about putting their feet on the ground there. And they're not finding it. So I'm starting to think outside the box a little bit. I'm kind of maybe, I've round the plate. I'm back at bat. We've gone through the lineup, and I'm looking at how I want to reapproach my game. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure if it's going to be I don't know. I think I need to take the time that we took off and reapply myself in a different direction. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about looking outside Montana, frankly. How about you?
Yeah, outside Montana, I don't know if I'm ready to go beyond that map's edge right now. But I'm always looking for reasons to get back to Arizona. So I need to keep exploring. I think in the process of honestly doing this episode, it's going to catch me up on some things. Maybe, pull a few strings, tug me down some directions. But yeah, it seems like, we're in the thick of it. what was it? Was announced in April or March, and it was clearly a flurry of popularity. I mean, the doc was trending on Netflix. All these subreddits popped up, and then it was like, wow, we really got momentum. And then we had the Q&A, and that really sparked the community. And then now it's like, you know, the day jobbers and the amateurs are falling off to the side, but the folks here for the long run, like us, baby, we're still going strong, slogging through this thing. Am I right?
Yeah, I don't really know what your point was. I felt like you just vomited a whole bunch of I don't know. What's
my
the point?
point was you asked if I'm moving outside of looking in Montana, and I said, you know, I don't know if I'm there yet, and that I will be looking potentially at Arizona locations, and that, you know, the community as a whole seems to be getting a little quiet, but we're still here. We're still slogging away. Is that a good enough recap for y'all? For you, sir?
Yeah, that's pretty vanilla, but I guess that's why it's a popular flavor.
All right, I'll just wait for your, you know, rocky road coming out here.
So smack us with the updates. What's going on in this thing?
Well, the biggest update, which isn't an update. There's no major updates, as I said, that I'm aware of from the man himself. He did put out a post last week or something commemorating whatever it was, 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, Finn's decade, yeah.
Of Fenn, 95th birthday, I guess it would have been. Maybe you can decipher some clues from that. I did not myself. But in terms of the community, the biggest post or thing, I guess, I saw was 12 days ago. So that would have been August 15th, thereabouts. A gentleman or gentlewoman on the subreddit r/Justin Posey's Treasure posted, "I got the Cipher," with 4 exclamation points following that. And I'm just going to go ahead now and break it down. And I will say this post has 82 upvotes and 185 comments. So clearly there's some traction and some folks are kind of picking up what this guy's putting down. So the poster it's from the Discord, the screenshot. The Discord user's name is Hunt2Breathe, the number 2. He says, "I started reading through the Bible that was posted on Discord." I have no idea what a Bible, maybe that's a Justin Bible. Justin's answers and quotes all in one place. Okay, there you go. Right away, the line that stuck was, "There's 2 elements at play." He also kept saying the cipher isn't in the poem. It's simple, and if you can add or do basic multiplication, you're good. So I went looking for something small, fair, and easy to find in the book itself. I went to the contents, which has always been fishy, and I pulled up the periodic table. And while I'm staring at the titles, 2 of them jump out for a very simple reason. Their first 2 letters are real chemical symbols. The chapters were the Curious Confluence, which he says is Cu for copper, and the Snout Scout, which is Sn, which is the element tin. So he says 2 elements at play, no tricks, read together. Cu plus Sn equals bronze. That answers the first question, what's it made of? So where does do the math part kick in? He's referring to Justin saying there's math potentially. First addition. Okay, so now this is where we get a little loco here, cowboy. Copper's atomic number is 29. Tin's is 50. Add them together and you get 79. Element 79 is, guess what?
Gold.
That's right, Au, gold. That's a tiny, satisfying check, he says. Bronze on the outside, gold on the inside. And we've been alluding to the cipher is supposed to be referring to the container. So he has now deduced that the container is bronze and what lies within is gold. He says, no algebra, just 2 numbers. And then he goes, now, there's still more. Or let's pause here. Where are you at, cowboy? Let's pause here for a status check.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. It would be a pretty wild double coincidence, I guess.
The part I struggle with is the chapter is Curious Confluence. I guess, okay, he takes the first 2 letters of that chapter, which is
C,
CU.
Curious, CU.
Because I was like, CC, you know, those are the 2 words, alliteration, but okay, so then snout would be SN. Understood, okay. So then the second part, he continues on here. Second, he says multiplication, really a mix. Lots of things are made of bronze, but the shape you should expect comes from the ratio of copper to tin. Classic bell metal is roughly 4-1, about 80% copper to 20% tin. That's the kind of multiplication Justin was talking about. Parts, not calculus. And it matters, because he also said the container would be immediately recognizable and not a box. A bronze bell nails that. Obvious silhouette, hollow so it can hold stuff, and tough enough for weather. And you know it the second you see it. So, to recap, Cu plus Sn from the contents equals bronze. 29 plus 50 equals 79, which is gold, what's inside. And the 4-1 mix points to a bell metal, which points to a bronze bell that you'll recognize on sight. That is this person's claim of the cipher. Your thoughts?
Okay, so I think that the copper and gold deduction is far more interesting than this leap to a bell being the apparatus, which I think you can objectively categorize it as a giant leap. Correct me if I'm wrong, but because he figured out like the ratio, which that's commonly used to make bells. Like I
guess it's a bell. There's a type of bronze called bell metal or something. It seems like.
Yeah.
That was my interpretation.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, bells are interesting because they have a gigantic hole in the bottom, right? That's how they produce sound. Okay, so is there going to be a copper bell hanging from somewhere and you're going to see a copper bell and it's like, oh, that's the spot? What the hell about a bell has anything to do with this story or this poem? Like, if I saw a bell in the middle of, like, nowhere, I'd be like, that's an interesting bell. I wouldn't be like, oh, that's Justin put that there. I'm not making the connection, but the copper and gold, okay, yeah, those coincidences are interesting to me, but the latter, I think, where he's diving into fucking rabbit hole land.
All right. Yeah, so to reiterate, bronze, not copper.
What did I say? Oh, yeah, my bad. It's copper and tin.
His theory is that you crack the cipher, it's an allusion to the bell, you find it, you're going to be unmistakably knowing it. Yeah, maybe someone that finds it is going to be like, that's weird, so then maybe they don't go and explore. But I would imagine if you're out in the wilderness, you're looking for treasure, and you see a bronze bell that's going to be pretty indistinguishable, like this was placed by man. It does check a lot of the boxes, like he said, like that thing would be carried for the long run. It could be there for decades and not be screwed around. But like you said, it's a good question. It's open on the bottom, so like isn't it he put all the treasure inside and then like welded it shut? The other thing is, if this thing's big enough to hold treasure, like we really think Justin could maneuver that out into the wilderness with a broken leg and then I guess bring other pieces. I guess if you like piled up all the gold and then placed a bell on top of it, maybe that works, but that doesn't seem like super secure. And again, I don't know. So that said, looking at the Reddit comments, the number one voted comment is basically somebody that says they don't agree with this at all. Their claim is, why not randomly select other chapter names that would work? They point out you could go look at Postal Pilgrimage. P.O., that would be the element polonium, which we all know polonium. And then the other people below that say the Bait Bonanza could be Ba, barium. Bronze Beast could be bromine. Cable Conundrum could be Ca, calcium. So they go through, there's literally 10 or 12 elemental names you could derive from the chapters. But before I conclude and get your thoughts, I just want to point out, like, these people are so brutal in their comments, and they're just, like, really aggressive. Like, their theory doesn't carry any weight is the thing, and this is so flawed. And, like, so I just want to be like, come on, guys, But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, what do you expect? I mean, it's like that on the comments on this podcast. Like, we're just a couple of guys, like, doing our thing, and people feel the need to attack us, criticize us, send death threats, come to our home in the middle of the night, assault us. All these things happen when you're putting content out like this, and people get very, very upset about it. Yeah, it's very interesting. I ended up finding it, and I'm looking at the comments now. Yeah, except there's some positive comments like this is a great solve. Now this is the first, you know what I mean? There's some
Yeah,
positive.
but do you see the OP's comment about 3 or 4 down? He comments and says, to be clear, I'm 100% on board with healthy debate, and I concede I could have this wrong. But someone told me last night that I'm so wrong I should kill myself.
Oh.
That's effed up. Especially
Yeah.
considering Justin's story, which I agree. Yeah, who are these people? Like, if you're on the hunt and doing this, like, I mean, obviously you got some shit going on with your life. Probably not great, but like, I think you need some more constructive outlets or some therapy or a hug, man. If you're out there telling someone to kill themselves for sharing a solve about a treasure hunt, like, let's take a step back. And I don't even know if, I hope our audience isn't anywhere close to these type of people, but that's just kind of shocking to see that.
Absolutely. I mean, like, don't go out there don't get divorced over it. No death threats. Let's keep it. This is supposed to be fun and healthy.
Yeah. So that was, as I said, from my understanding, seemed to be the, most controversial. Yeah, it's the number one post. If you go through r/Justin Posey's Treasure, you sort by top. This month, it is the number one post in the community right now. But we're gonna move on.
One thing,
I'm with you.
while we're talking Reddit, I just want to point out it's kind of criminal that there's 2 competing subreddits about this. There's r/Justin Posey's Treasure, and then of course there's r/Beyond the Map's Edge. Can we not bring it together, folks? Like, why do we got to split that way? It makes it so much more difficult to check everything. It frankly makes it twice as hard.
I agree. And then there's the people that'll like cross post. And it's like they'll post in one, then the other, and it's usually not a post that's getting any traction. So then it's just like, I'm with you. Like, we need to consolidate. And then there's this Discord where there's clearly lots of stuff going on. I've heard the Discord is extremely aggressive in terms of the community. And I've heard a lot of people are like, I went there, I posted for a bit, and I had to quit because it was like people are too crazy on the Discord. So if you got any tales from the Discord horror stories, we want to hear them. But we're going to move on. And I'm in your camp, Cowboy. I don't know if I'm sold on this. I think it's compelling. But, again, I've moved on from the Cipher. Once he confirmed, like, dude, the Cipher's not in the poem. It doesn't really do anything. It's just kind of a fun thing I threw in there. I'm like, whatever, man. I got more bigger bones to dig up. So that's
I got a treasure to find here.
Yeah, baby. Not a container to understand. That said, number 2 post of the month, which was, again, about 15 days ago. This one posted, I've been meaning to give this person a shout out because there's a very specific person. If you are on any of, or this specific subreddit, you know this person. Their username is Randy Clover Lucky, Randy with an I. And they're like just the complete antithesis to the type of commenter I just spoke of. This person is continually just positive. Anytime someone sends a theory, they'll do their best to try and share any sort of supportive material to just like help. They're just like a ray of sunshine in this community. So shout out to you, Randy Clover Lucky, for one. But for 2, they had a very interesting post. And the title was Tetons! Exclamation point with an eyeball emoji, hand on the chin emoji, and a monocle emoji. And effectively what this person deduced is they said, first off, I do not believe that the treasure is at Delta Lake. And they had to go through some crazy-ass trail in the Tetons Park. But they reached effectively a point which looks to be like the direct inspiration for the photo that is on the cover of Beyond the Map's Edge with the mountains on the left and right, the lake in the middle. It's very uncanny how much it lines up. And so they were basically just sharing that I went beyond the map's edge for this one. My intent was to show everyone how much it looked like the cover of the book. Please do not damage this area, blah, blah, blah. And then everyone was just kind of giving Randy shout-outs for this. And then where are you at? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I to be honest though, I don't see it. I don't think that this matches up. I frankly don't. I've seen other photos, like the one outside of the hotel in what's the name of that? The other one, the last time we talked about this, lines up far more than this image. This image doesn't look right. One, the stream doesn't continually go back. There's an end to these mountains here. The 2 mountains they're just 2 peaks next to each other, not like 2 separate mountains like this photo. It just doesn't.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think it is the right image. It's we're looking at a lake with peaks behind it, not a river going through two mountains. I think fundamentally they're different. So I respectfully disagree. No offense to Randy. She seems wonderful. But yes.
Yeah, as the more I looked at it, I guess I would agree. But it was the Lupine Meadows trailhead. It's like not kept. It's crazy. They had to like airlift multiple people out this year. But I just thought that was interesting, the fact that people are exploring these and maybe finding places that line up with the book. Maybe you're right, it doesn't. But shout out there. So then we're going to continue on to another post that caught my eye. And this was titled The Lawyer's Office. We've been analyzing the lawyer setup or scene, interview scene from Golden Greed. We've talked about the bug on the desk, the pile of rocks, the all you need is a dog, love and a dog sign, all these other things people have been analyzing. Well, I saw an interesting theory. And they said if you look in line from left to right, you have a cube with kinked lines, which it is on the very left. They said that could be the kinks. You have the stacked rocks, which could be the stones. You have the Volkswagen bug, which could be the Beatles. And then you have the business card, which could be the Who, a.k.a. the Big Four. So this is an allusion to the 4 biggest British rock bands. What are your thoughts?
I think that you've unequivocally lost your damn mind. What does that have to do with anything in this hunt? I think that people have now reached complete rock bottom. Can we please read the comments on this one? Because I think I'm just curious at how the response has been in the community.
Well, All You Need Is Love is also a pretty famous song by the Beatles, is noted. And which is
what does that have to do with anything?
The sign on his desk says all you need is love and a dog.
Oh my God. Okay, what does that do to get us any closer in finding this thing? Please lay it out for me, because I'm not connecting the dots.
I don't know, man, but what else? There's another note, dude. Yeah, I mean, this person says it right. They said, a lot of really good clues spread across that desk. If only we knew how they fit. But no, I just thought this was fun. The way it worked out it was like, oh, these 4 British bands. I'm with you. So what? Then where does that take us? Maybe we find, the Billboard charts. We then take that and find the line. I'm just kidding. So I don't know where this is at. The jury's out for this lawyer scene. But clearly these things are freaking intentional on the desk, dude. And we still haven't found a good thing. But I know that little Volkswagen thing, man. And the pile of rocks. Like, those 2 things are just screaming. I don't know what they're screaming, but they're screaming.
I thought that we were above this. I'm a little appalled that this is where we're going. But right. Yeah, I think, Ringo, we should move on. But I am going to send this image to my friend who is the niece of this lawyer.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna.
Yeah, what's the deal on that? Hey. You plant that seed yet or what?
I've been working on it. I've been working on it. All
right, well, then let's move on to maybe something you might find more helpful, you frickin' a-hole, which is somebody wonderfully shared on the subreddit 18 days ago, user _letter7659, tool for, quote, shadowed site. And they found a fantastic tool online, shademap.app, which allows you to view bird's eye, basically, Google Maps types views of locations, but this will superimpose the way the sun travels and casts a shadow. So if your solve involves this idea of like wisdom, you yourself have talked about this, wisdom waits in shadowed sight, like from a location, Wisdom, Montana, is it shadowed at certain times of day? This tool allows you to go ahead, you can set the time of day of year, time of day, and it'll show you how the shadows are being cast. So I thought that was super useful. Again, shademap.app, and shout out to _letter7659 on Reddit for sharing this. Another tool in your little toolbox, Cowboy.
Yeah, and I did look through this. This is a very cool app. Not sure, how it applies to this, but nonetheless, like, you can see what the light is like, what shading is like anywhere in the world. Very cool app. Yeah, I definitely, that the what is it, Gaia or whatever, the location positioning like GPS map is very helpful. There's a repertoire of apps.
Yes.
That you got to hit like you're at Applebee's on $5 Thursdays. You know what I'm saying?
I don't, but that said, another little tool for your little tool belt, vest, pocketbook, whatever it is, shared to us by our good friend and colleague, Dr. Clowns, which I found this to be fantastic. And it's just called Voss Field Notes, VOSS. It's vossfieldnotes.com. And this dude, or dudette, has put together kind of what I've been looking for a long time, is like collating and consolidating all the information about this hunt into one kind of comprehensive place. Yes, that's useful, but additionally, the way he organizes it and tags it is incredibly useful. But so effectively, he says it's an incomplete working document. The fever set in long enough for the wheels to spin, but not long enough to burn out completely. He has not gone boots on the ground, but he's building a dossier. Everything that might survive daylight goes here. Sourced facts, maps, cipher attempts, promising overlaps, popular speculation, and coincidences you can't quite throw away. It's a part science, part restraint, and blah, blah, blah. He says his mother was an archivist, would enjoy. So basically, it's publicly available for everyone. It's organized into, the map, the poem, the documentary, the book, the music, the interviews, Justin himself, treasure, timeline, checkpoint, cipher, recurring motifs, the little symbol, which we haven't even dug into. There's a weird little symbol that recurs in the book. It's like an L shape and then a Z zigzagging line with an arrow. It's called an azimuth or an angzar. And it's a symbol that's out there. So the people have been analyzing that quite a bit in the context of this hunt. Talks about AI, geography, communication with Justin. And then the most recent section is 42, which I think we touched on it last episode, that on the rear end of Justin's truck is the hand-drawn number 42. And people have been really digging into that. So anyways, like I said, all broken down into sections and then all color-coded. So if it's in green, it's a fact. If it's black, it's a citation. If it's yellow, it's inferred. Speculation, all this stuff. Check it out, vossfieldnotes.com. Thoughts on that, Cowboy?
It's unbelievable. Yeah, I've looked at this quite a few times. It's called Voss Field Notes. It's the dossier. How do you pronounce that word? Dossier?
Dossier.
From the Fringe?
Dossier, yes, shit.
Dossier from the Fringe. It's really good, especially if you're like just hopping in and trying to orient yourself on this. This is such a useful tool for kind of just like getting up to speed. Yeah, highly recommended. I think, we should maybe at some point do a recap in one of these episodes and go through this and kind of talk about what this guy has seen and see if it tickles any ideas, because we keep moving and plowing forward. That, sometimes the recall, the years of, so much, I've learned so much that you end up forgetting things. So yeah. I'd like to maybe touch back on this.
No, I mean, you move on. We've explored, we've picked up so many potential puzzle pieces, dusted them off, looked at them, and then set them aside and moved on. But we've started, other things have taken shape. So yeah, you need to revisit that stuff. The fact that it's archived, organized, super valuable. I'll be frank that I haven't even dug into it. It was like overwhelming, but certainly plan to get into it more. But any final thoughts before we move on to our final discussion point today?
No.
All right. So final post to discuss is solely because I think this person's theories or solve or whatever touched on some things I've been looking at, thinking of. So wanted to bring them to all the listeners and to you, the cowboy, hear your thoughts. But the title of this post is What You Seek, you already know. It's from MEGH22B on r/Justin Posey's Treasure. And they said they've been toying with this idea for months and the cognitive bias is real. So a salute to them for even acknowledging, we're all biased to think we're making breakthroughs here. They woke up and decided it was time to throw it out and see what others think. I've not worked with anyone else or exchanged ideas. All the interpretations are my own. There's something everyone on this journey knows. Hope. To study the poem, watch the documentary, read the book, research, blah, 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 you have to have hope to engage in the hunt. Hope lives in time. Hope flows. Hope abounds between a bride and a groom. Many suspect the poem is circular in nature. Cowboy, we still don't know. Are you on that boat? You think it's circular or no? You're just
I
down
don't.
Still? Okay.
I don't. I don't think I don't. I think it's wide, narrow pin.
We're brought back to hope searching. With this in mind, I've given special attention to locations with hope in the name. The two places I've been most interested in are Hope Creek in Montana, possibly accessible from the East Fork Trailhead, next to which runs Vapor Creek. Water silent flight. Okay, that's interesting.
That's pretty good. It's pretty interesting. Yeah. I've been obviously looking in that area, but that sounds pretty good.
The two creeks seem to be under a mile apart. My theory here is that of all the big clues point you to a general area, the whole is capitalized, literally the big H as a child would call it, and Ursa East. And while driving from Sula to the East Fork Trailhead, you would pass Ross Hole, Badger Gulch, Angle Draw, Needle Creek, Hole in the Wall Trailhead. Anyways, they don't really go on to support the Hope Creek in Montana beyond that, but I do think that Vapor thing is interesting. But then alternatively, another location is Hope Mountain. If you heard of this one, Cowboy, it's in Arizona.
Well, then you're our expert. Tell us all about it.
I'm not, but I will be now. So it appears to lie beyond the edge of the map of Saguaro National Park, which the saguaros are mentioned in the book repeatedly. It's on the edge of the Rincon Mountains, which translates to corner. Vail, Arizona could play into the bride, and it's described as a gateway town. And it's a big railroad town, which we know there's connections to railroads. So much of his childhood, treasure-focused memories are tied to this area. I can picture him as a kid riding the car down the 10, looking out the window at the possibilities, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, those are his two areas for Hope Creek, Montana, and Hope Mountain, Arizona. Any thoughts? Any credence?
I mean, I think it's a great start. Yeah. I like it. I'm not against it at all. Yeah, I don't know. Good for him. Keep on rocking and rolling, baby.
I think if I had to say, I'm pretty committed at this point to finding water locations that line up with parts of the poem. So this idea of creeks with the name Hope in it, super interesting to me. The one you've been alluding to, which was the one that was renamed the Native American River. What was it? It was originally like Philanthropy, and then it was...
it wasn't Wisdom. Was it Wisdom? No, it was Wisdom.
Was it Wisdom?
Yeah, it was the town of Wisdom. It was the town that the Big Hole had gone through that Lewis and Clark had named it Wisdom. And then later on, like 60 years later or something, I'm not super accurate here, but another group settled there, didn't know old Lewis and Clark, hadn't done their reading, and then they just named the town Wisdom. But it had been named something prior to that, and that's what happened. And then when some other people came, were like, "Oh, these guys told us the name was this," and they changed it to what it used to be. But yeah, the interim name was Wisdom. I'm botching the story, to be honest, now that I think about it. I may have fabricated most of that. I'll have to get back to you on the details.
Yeah, we'll have to go revisit your own words to see what you said. Because you were insightful at one point in time.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
And so, yes, those types of locations, when I hear stuff like that, my little light bulbs are flickering. And I'm like, okay, ding, 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 that attracts my mind. So that's kind of my approach now where I'm at, thinking about those. But again, this Waterton Lakes, I saw another post about Waterton Lakes on the subreddit. Nobody, really went anywhere or addressed the fact that I said that it's part of Glacier National Park, it seems, once it hits the United States side. So that's kind of where I'm at. I really want to dive into this dossier. And finally, though, more importantly, we had another person out here, Evan. I was just checking email before hopping on this recording. They sent us a fantastic solve. It's in the form of a slideshow And in addition to that, they just said some really positive, kind things about us. So, like, thank you again for some positivity in our world.
Oh, yeah, I saw that as well. It was a slideshow video. It was the 40-minute one.
No! This is a different
no?
person.
Okay.
We talked about that last episode.
I know, it's been a minute. Sorry, there's a lot of fan mail coming in these days.
Yeah, I'm sure you're keeping tabs on all of it.
Yeah, definitely.
But that is going to conclude us here on this episode. As you all heard, if you've been with us from minute one, this is purely a speculative episode. Purely looking around at the community. What are other people saying? Nothing's really sticking out. We've hit maybe a little slog, but hopefully we can get some updates soon. As Cowboy alluded to, though, previous episode, we are getting close to snow season. So are we going to get updates? Are we going to get some insights, some new breadcrumbs tossed on the ground for us to little gobble up like little rats?
Yeah, and also as we start entering into fall, it is hunting season, and if you're out there looking, you should wear orange. Like as hunters wear, you should as well, because people will shoot you if they think you're an animal.
Wow. All right. Well, as always, we got the serious advice. If we missed anything in the community, any big breakthroughs, any big tweets, share us our way in a comment, in an email. Our email is thehuntforposiestreasure@gmail.com. We love all you listeners. Laura and Lauren, if you're out there, don't think we forgot. We're going to dive into some of the stuff you've shared at some point. But as I said, we've been offline for a bit. We're back online. We're back to recording. We're back to hunting. Hope y'all are still here with us.
Yep. We're back.
So we will talk to y'all next time. And until then, my friends, happy hunting.
And stay safe.